so excited about this video because if you're watching this, you are trying to save yourself the time, the energy, the headache, the frustration of trying to figure out how to create and sell an online course when you don't have the experience for yourself. And I remember what that feels like. To date, I have enrolled people in 47 countries around the world. I have enrolled over 10,000 people into my online programs, and my business has generated just shy of $30 million in revenue in the last 5 years through my programs. Having said that, the early days were a struggle and I made a million mistakes. So I wanted to make this video to share with you these 6 key factors that you need to know before you venture into creating a program. And if you've already created a program and you're struggling with it, this will be helpful for you too. So if you're excited, give this video a like and be sure to hit subscribe for new videos every single week. This is the place to be to build a purposeful, profitable, and peaceful online education business. That is my jam. That's all I do. And if you want to take it a step further and you are ready to package up your knowledge and your skill set, impact more people, and stop trading time for money, you can actually click the link below and fill out an application to speak to a real human on my team so that we can guide you through the process and actually talk to you about your goals and your dreams and how you can make them happen. So you can find that link below this video. All right, let's dig in. Today we're gonna go through 6 keys. Number 1, focus on the right thing first. Number 2, narrow your focus and know your numbers. Number 3, this is a business, treat it like one. Number 4, validate first. Number 5, start with a prototype. And number 6, don't fall into the launch cycle. Number 1, focus on the right thing first. One of the biggest mistakes that you can make when you're creating an online course is you get caught up in all these things that do not matter. This is what I call putting the cart before the horse, and it is a very quick way to feel completely defeated and to get 0 results from your program. So what this means is you focus on things like, I need to create a free PDF, I need to create a webinar, I need to create a landing page, I have to have a funnel, what's the payment processor that I'm going to use? What's the tech that I'm going to put into place? What's the course hosting platform? Literally, none of that stuff matters if you don't have a program that actually delivers results, works, and is proven to be desired by people that actually want to invest in it. Okay, so all of that, get it out of your head. Make it go away. We aren't even going to touch that until you have a proven program and offer, okay? So that's number 1. And why this is so important is because obviously I've been doing this a long time. I've worked with thousands of people in developing their online programs. What I see most often is something I call the curse of the expert. So this is what happens. Tell me if you can relate in the comments below. You have this idea. You know that you could create an online course. You get super excited about it. And then you sit there for like 6 months, a year, sometimes years, and you create all of the information that's going to go in this program. You're building out the curriculum, but you haven't made one sale. Okay? This happens. And then you go, I really hope someone buys it. I've packed all the information I can into this course. I hope someone buys it. That's the curse of the expert. The last thing you want to do is package all of that information into a program that you don't know if it's actually going to work. You don't know if it's actually going to sell. And you, again, don't know if somebody actually wants to invest in it. So save yourself the energy. We're going to talk about how to avoid that in detail in a later step. The reason that that doesn't work is because there is so much free information on the internet. Hi there. This video is free. People don't pay for information. I say this a lot, but people don't pay for information. They pay for transformation. So when you focus on building a course that's just jam-packed with everything you know, people tend to give you these kinds of responses. I don't really see the value. I'm not really sure why I would need to pay for that. I'm just going to figure it out on my own. If you've heard any of those things before, you might be falling into the curse of the expert. Listen to me when I say this. People invest into an online program because they want results. They want to achieve a transformation that you can provide, and they want the most, this is really important, the most efficient path possible to getting those results, okay? We call it, and the way that we formulate programs is the 0 to hero journey. So we want to take our ideal client from 0 state to hero state, whatever that may be. So you need to think through, okay, who is the person that I want to serve with my program? And how am I going to take them from that most challenged, most frustrated, most in pain place to their desired outcome? That is the basis of how you're going to create a really strong, desirable, well worth it program. And to further illustrate that point, one of the biggest mistakes that people make when they're building out a curriculum is that they don't clearly identify that zero state. So, prime example of this is, let's say that you want to help artists discover their unique signature style as a painter. This is actually a real example of someone that I work with. So, the zero state for that artist would be they have been consistently painting and producing work, but they still haven't been able to really build the confidence and land on their signature style. The absolute wrong zero state when you try and serve everybody is you would be serving any artist. It could be somebody who does it as a hobby, paints maybe once or twice a year. That's a problem. When you don't pinpoint where the person is, where they are in the most crucial and urgent place to actually make a decision to invest and do the work to achieve the outcome you provide, you have a problem and you have a program that's not going to sell. And mistake number 2 is people tend to, again, pack their programs with all this information, and it puts their client on this journey that takes them all off track and doubles the amount of time or triples the amount of time to achieve the transformation. That's why it's your job as the expert to not fall into that trap and to be as efficient as possible in going, okay, what is absolutely necessary to add into my curriculum to get my client from zero to hero. This is vitally important before you think about anything else. Simply put, if your course doesn't deliver transformation and results, it just won't last. You might get an initial surge of people who are interested, but it won't stand the test of time. Results are the fuel behind any business. And we actually use something called the flywheel in our business, and this is what we teach our clients too. And this is what helps your business run and start to actually sell on autopilot. What it starts with is you have to have a transformational program. And then from there, you start enrolling people into that program because you know it's desirable. From there, you get client transformations. These people are transforming and they're getting the results that they're seeking. And what does that make them? Super happy clients. And what does that do? They then have all of these results that you can share and you can use as proof of how great your program is. And those people start telling everyone they know, you got to work with this person because they're the go-to expert on this topic. What does that do? It gets more people enrolled into your program, and it just starts to work on its own. But results have to be first and foremost. A quality program has to be first and foremost. Before we get into step number 2, I'm curious. When you think about the outcome that you want to create with your online program, the impact that you want to have, what is it? Share it in the comments below. I would love to see. And it's super important to start really thinking about this because this is the number one key to creating a course that sells and works and can be a business in the long run. So number 2 is narrow your focus and know your numbers. So having been in this industry for quite a while, there's been an evolution in how online programs are made. And there is an old way and there is a new way. The old way of doing things was, let me just slap a bunch of information into an online program, pick a really low price point, and just sell it to the masses. That's the old way. The new way of doing things is identifying the transformation and the results that you're going to provide to your ideal client, and then only delivering it to the people who need it most at a price that we call a value-based price, which means because you're not trying to serve the masses and you only want to work with the people who need you most and you can have the deepest impact on, you're going to be able to enroll people at a price point that really proves the value of the outcome you're providing. And for us, our guidelines for people we work with, because our programs that we create are transformational and the programs that our clients create are transformational, the minimum price point is $500. That's the minimum. So just quickly think about how that changes things in terms of how you could grow a business and the impact you can have. We're going to get into some quick math to really illustrate that point in just a second. But before I do, I wanted to share this example with you because I work with somebody who is an anxious attachment specialist for women in relationships. When she came into our program, she had been struggling for quite a while, trying to get her online program to actually sell and be sustainable. And when she came in, she was more in a broad area and she was having a hard time reaching the people who needed her most. And if you look at the numbers alone here, let's just look at Instagram, for example. If I look up dating, which is a general topic, and what we like to say is broad equals broke, specific equals sales. You may have heard me say that before. If you look at the topic dating on Instagram, there are so many results and so many random results. It's really hard to be seen and stand out in a world that is so cluttered and crowded and so general. Whereas if you look up anxious attachment, it is a much smaller avenue and arena to play in, which allows you to stand out. This is what we call niching down to blow up. So going from a general topic where you're drowning and never being seen by your ideal client to going to a smaller pool and becoming the go-to expert. And what that also does is it allows you to really position yourself as an authority in a very specific area, which makes you even more desirable because you're not a generalist. So you can really actually impact and make the transformation that people are seeking from you. And so when Sarah went through our program, she had this to say about choosing her price point. And the biggest key to choosing a price point for a program is not looking at the information you've included, because the information has nothing to do with it. You could have minimal information, but have a really efficient path to transformation, and that's worth a lot for people. So what it's really based on is, what is the cost of your ideal client not having the solution you provide? What are they spending money on? What have they wasted money on? How much time are they wasting in trying to find the solution? That really indicates the price point. So when Sarah came in and she was ready to sell her program, she was really worried about the price, and this is what she had to say. I thought $100 to $200 was a good amount to charge for an online course and cringed when I put $800 for the live program option. When I started the Authority Accelerator, I thought $1,000 was crazy high, but after going through the steps and realizing the value in what I'm offering and seeing other members charge a premium, something clicked, and $2,000 was a no-brainer. And here's the amazing thing about that. So Sarah went to sell her program to her ideal clients, and she ended up overselling her program. She had more demand than she thought she would, and she generated $30,000 and brought in 15 clients within 6 weeks of launching this program. So let's just do some really quick math, because if you are creating a program or you have a program and you're trying to sell it at a low price point, the cycle that it creates is a lot of frustration. At the end of the day, you can have a massive impact through free content. But when it comes to a paid program, it's so important to know who you're serving and to really know the value, because it creates better results and it creates a more streamlined process for you as the business owner, with less customer service, less support, less clients, and less demand on your time and attention, where you can really go deep with the people you are serving. So if we do some quick math here, let's just say that you create a program and you decide to sell it for $49. A $49 course means you need 205 clients a month to hit $10,000 in revenue a month. If you have a $2,000 course, like Sarah did, you need 5 clients a month to hit $10,000 in revenue a month and $120,000 a year. When you think about it that way, think about the energy and effort it takes to get one client in the door. If you're trying to get over 200 a month, it's gonna be a real struggle. Number 3, this is a business, treat it like one. And what I mean by that is people oftentimes think, oh, I'm just gonna make a course and it's gonna be this extra revenue stream. And sometimes that's possible. And it really depends on your intention and what you're trying to do with your program. But if you're creating a program that's really impactful and really transformational, and you really wanna go deep with your clients and be able to serve them at the highest level while also detaching your time from your income, it requires you to treat it like a true business. And when you think about it in that sense, there are elements to the business that come into play. And I kind of mentioned this earlier, but when you look at the components of creating an online course business, and this is what I've seen time and time again, it comes down to you have to have your offer sorted first and foremost. And from there, you have to have your messaging super clear. If your messaging isn't clear, you may have a course, but you're never gonna sell it. From there, you need to know who that ideal client is that you're serving that messaging to in order for it to land. From there, you're gonna generate leads, and from there, you're gonna generate sales. And from there, you can actually build out a team and operations. It doesn't have to be a big team. A lot of my clients have just themselves, and they're scaling to sometimes over $50,000 a month. And some people have scaled to over 6 figures a month with a team of 1, or maybe a team of 2. So it doesn't require a big team, but you can at least have help and become the real CEO in your business. And from there, you can create out operations and processes to really create space and freedom and that peace, purpose, and profit that we talked about earlier. And one really important thing to consider here is that, like I said, if you have more clients enrolling into your program, regardless if they're paying $49 or $2,000, there's a level of fulfillment and commitment and customer service to those clients. So you have to think about your capacity. Can you realistically serve 200 new people a month at a high level while also barely scraping by in terms of what you need to be generating in your business for it to be an actual business? This is why I say treat it like a business, because it is one. Number 4, validate first. Holy Moses, this is probably the most important thing I'm about to say to you. Because too often, and you may be one of these people, and if you are, my heart goes out to you, and I'm here to help. If you're one of those people who's sitting there going, well, I've spent, 6 months building a course, and then I went to sell it and nobody bought it. this is probably why. So what I mean by validate first is it's so important to know that people actually want what you have to offer and that you're not sitting there going, well, I think I know exactly what people want and I think I know exactly what should go in my course. That is the kiss of death, okay? You don't know. You might have an inkling, but you got to validate it with real human beings in order to know what's going to sell. So doing this for a really long time and having that same experience, I remember building out a program and I was like, this is so good. Not validating it at all and then not really having any results with it, I realized that there had to be a better way to do it. Validating a program before you sell it comes from 3 factors. So number 1, we touched on this in point number 1, is it has to come from you and your own experience. So identifying, okay, what is my unique genius and experience and how can I best serve people and how can I reflect that in the curriculum and the outcome I'm providing? So that's number 1. Number 2 is market research. So one of my favorite things to do is to go onto Amazon and search for books in the category of the program you want to create. And I have my clients do this too. And it's a really easy thing for you to really understand what you need to do to serve people in the right way. You want to go to the reviews section of any book that is on a topic in your category and look up the best reviews and the worst reviews. The amount of gold that lies in these reviews is unbelievable because you get to see what really resonates with people and what actually helped people and why the book was valuable to them. And then also what wasn't included, what was missed, what they wish they had, what didn't work. So it's like you get a preview of what people actually want inside of a program that's in that category. And then number 3 is ideal client interviews. So this is a process I created. I used to be a journalist. That's probably where this stems from for me. I know that speaking to real humans is the most powerful thing you can do to create a business that people actually want. What it simply means is that 1, you get to actually talk to real humans who would need what you have. You very quickly figure out who your ideal client is and who your ideal client isn't. So it makes it even better when it comes to marketing and messaging because you're even sharper with who you want to tune into and who you want to speak to. And further to that, because you're having these conversations and simply just listening, you're not selling anything at this point. You're just listening and you're getting feedback and you actually are caring about what they're saying, you're building so much value and reciprocity with these people that it actually builds out a client list. The amount of times that our clients do this and the people they speak to go, well, if you ever create something on this, I want to know. So essentially, you're doing these interviews to really understand how to best serve people. And because you're taking that time, these people go, oh my gosh, well, I want to work with you when you create this thing. We call it ideal client interviews. And here are just a few questions and few examples that you can use to do this research and speak to people to really validate what it is that you want to offer and to test out your idea. Number 1, what are your biggest frustrations with blank? So whatever your category is, whatever your course topic is, fill in that blank with it. If you were to look for the solution to this problem on Google, what would you search? This is key because it actually tells you these people's search behavior and the questions they have coming up when they're at that 0 state, which allows you to create curriculum based around that. Number 3, if you could wave a magic wand and create a program that delivered everything you need, what would it include? And what would you be willing to invest to solve this problem? This is also gold because it really speaks to the value of what you're creating instead of just randomly picking a number. And what have you invested to solve this problem so far? This is also hugely indicative because, as I mentioned earlier, one of the biggest keys to picking a great price point for a program is knowing what it's cost your client to not have the solution you provide. It's a really good indicator for you to go, wow, they've sunk a lot of time, money, energy, focus into this. And if I can make their results efficient and faster and actually get them where they want to go, the value is super high. Number 5, start with the prototype. So this takes the entire validation process just a step further so you don't waste any time and you get your program to market as quickly as possible. If you look at any successful business in the world, speed is a big factor. You want to test fast and iterate with time. So get your program into the hands of real people and see if it lands, what the feedback is so you can make it better with time. There's that really great quote, if you aren't embarrassed by the first version of your product, you've launched too late. And it couldn't be more true. So we call this a POP, which is a profitable offer prototype. It's the first version of your program, and it gets your offer to market fast. It also generates cash flow for you, client results, and a confidence level for you to know that you actually have something that you can sell. It is not perfect by any means. It's a really rough draft of your offer, but it still will deliver the results. It just may not look super pretty, but people don't care about that if they're getting the results that they're after. So in terms of how you deliver this first iteration of the program, this is how it goes. Number one, you have to be clear on the transformation. So what is the 0 to hero transformation you're providing? Number two is you're going to deliver your lessons live via Zoom and build out your curriculum week to week so that you can adjust it and make changes as you go based on the real world feedback from these clients who've enrolled. And if you need any curriculum, checklists, PDFs, videos added as additional resources, you can just include those in your lessons. And then support calls weekly to answer any additional questions that might come up and get even more feedback about how the process is going and what's working and what's not working about the curriculum. And then having a members community that allows you to support the people who are in your program and create mentorship and create culture within your business where people can actually root each other on, be on the journey with one another, and it creates a very big element of accountability for your clients to do the work because they're able to see what the fellow members are doing and achieving. Like I said, Sarah, who is an anxious attachment specialist, she created her POP, her profitable offer prototype, to prove her offer, and these were her results. She said, my goal coming into AA was to make 10K a month, and I made nearly 30K in 6 weeks. This is the most I've made in my business. Over the past 6 years, I've been struggling and not making it anywhere until about a year and a half ago. So it makes all the difference to stop thinking so much and doing the work to create curriculum and just getting it out there. And then from there, you have a foundation that's proven to actually build from it to create an evergreen program, which takes us to key number 6. Don't fall into the launch cycle. So this is maybe going to be an unpopular opinion for some people because some people run their businesses under a launch model. If you don't know what a launch model is, essentially what it means is that you open and close enrollment for your program at specific times of the year. You maybe will open enrollment for like a 2-week period for the year. I have done this model, and I haven't done it for a very long time. My business is completely evergreen and has been for the last 6 years. And the reason is that when I was doing the launch model, I found it to be so overwhelmingly stressful, inconsistent, and it lacked any real sense of guarantee. And I'm a big fan of stability and it makes me feel more comfortable. So I wanted a business that could run year round and that I could just have consistent income month over month and have consistent results month over month, which also makes it very easy for me to build a really solid team around me. And I know I can support them and continue to grow with them. Whereas when you do a launch model, you're kind of putting all your eggs in one basket and you're doing these big, massive pushes and lead ups to them to try and get as many people into the program as possible in a short time frame, which also leads to you have this influx of clients all at once, and that can be so overwhelming because all of a sudden you have all these new faces in a program that are all starting at a beginner stage and you have to support them all at once. Whereas with an evergreen program, people just sort of come in steadily over time. It allows you to really consistently support and never have like an overwhelming period or moment because you know what your numbers are and you know exactly how to achieve them month over month and exactly what your ideal number is for the year and how to get there by spreading it out over 12 months without having to do a big push or a big launch. And the other thing with a launch that just for me can be tricky is because you're doing such a sense of urgency to get people in the doors in a short time frame, it can sometimes lead to like this FOMO sort of period for people where they feel this urgency that they have to buy, they have to get in when they're really just feeling pressure to buy. And so they invest without really being bought into the outcome you provide and the process you have laid out. And so they come in and then they're like, well, I don't really want to do all this work. I want a refund. And so instead of pushing people through a launch, you can do it in a really organic way where you can actually decide if you're a fit to work together. And that way you get clients in the door who are ready and willing to do the work and excited about creating that transformation. And that also comes up when there are things like bonuses. So when people do launches, sometimes they'll offer bonuses to get people to enroll. And I'm a believer that bonuses aren't really necessary. If someone is bought into the outcome you provide, that's all they need. And your curriculum should include everything that they need to efficiently get them from their 0 state to their hero state. Bonuses can often be a distraction and just more information for them to take in, which gets them off course and off path, as I mentioned earlier, to getting the outcome that they seek. Now, listen, this is my opinion. This is how I've run my business for the last 6 years. I know people's opinions might differ, but if you want consistency over time, I'm a big fan of having an evergreen, stable business. And then in terms of selling, YouTube is the greatest vehicle for us. It creates consistent traffic, consistent lead flow, which leads to consistent enrollments into the program all year long. And I've made a whole other video on that topic. It's how to sell your course through YouTube, and you can check that out in the description below. I'll put the link for you to check that video out. So if you're sitting there going, wow, that was a lot of information, well, I wanted to properly warn you, and I hope that it was helpful. And I'd really love to know, what are your takeaways? What landed for you in the comments below? And if this did resonate, please give it a thumbs up and be sure to subscribe for new videos every week. And like I said, if you want to do this thing, this is all we do. This is our one focus. I have one program at this point. I've had one program for quite some time now. It's called the Authority Accelerator, and it shows you how to step by step create your legacy business, which ultimately is creating an online program that is highly scalable, highly impactful, and highly transformational so that you can detach your time from your income but make a bigger impact than ever before. So if that's interesting to you, like I said, there's a link below. Fill out the application. You can actually speak to a real human on my team. Thank you so much for watching, and I have a whole playlist on how to create an online course. I will also link to that in the description below, and I hope that this was valuable for you and saves you some time and headache. I will see you in the next video. Thank you so much. Bye.